individuals who are, what my grandmother would say, bossy, and we don't necessarily put our hats higher than our heads, but we want to be able to enjoy living in a nice home. And, we're not going to go over all the things that everybody is complaining about because the voters want to hear solutions.
Yes.
You spoke about that,
Yes.
Sabrina.
Yes.
And a lot of candidates are spending time talking about the problems. And also there's this whole, I did a video on it over the weekend because it was really just laying on me. A lot of candidates are spending time talking about their opponents, one party talking about the next party, spending time doing memes. Like, people don't want to see that.
Nope.
They want to see, what are you going to do to make my life better? So that is what excites me most about this new party that, Sabrina and I are part of, is the fact that our manifesto is realistic. We are not promising to give everybody the world. We are promising to give leadership that is full of integrity and also delivering on a few capital projects, bearing in mind that, and we've all had this discussion, right, Sabrina, that we can't deliver everything in this one term. We have to look at what is most important. So,
and your experience as both as ministers inform you of that fact that you're limited in terms of what you can deliver.
Correct.
Limited because of finances, limited because of time constraints, as well.
And processes.
So you can approach it much more realistically now
Correct.
after being in that position.
Exactly.
Which is what you were alluding to in your former cabinet role, that a lot of persons and voters do not understand the separation of powers. We say that, but what do you mean by that? Your MPs, your ministers, we sit down, you form the government, the strategic policy statement, which is the marching orders for the civil servants to deliver, is an exercise that your elected government sits together. What are we going to do? Which is why it's important that you have a manifesto, which is now we're seeing structure, because we know what the 10 broad top issues based on our canvassing that the TCCP will be addressing. Now, realistically, when those ministers are appointed, what can we realistically that aligns with, let's say, those top 10 issues that we can deliver? When you go back to your ministry and you do this budget, realistically, with all the expenditures, like I alluded to, we don't know. We know what we left, but we don't know what we're going to receive once we go back. You look at the skill sets within your ministry, you look at what you want to actually try and bring forward. If it's not stuff that in Kathy and I's case, we know what we were working on before we left.
Right.
How much work has happened since we left? If none at all, we will pick up where we left off. That's already a head start.
I guess that goes back to your point as well, OC, about continuity, And one of the things that I was going to add to what you said, Sabrina, was just a bit about having that party structure.
Yes.
Because, coming from 4 years of, we had groupings, we had the PACT, and then we had the UPM, but there was never really a party position. There wasn't a party plan where we sit in a huddle room and say, okay, this is what the next 4 years is going to look like. We are all going to win. It's not going to be where some of us feel like, well, I have to get this done so that I can get reelected. Meanwhile, others are waiting and looking like, well, you're not delivering for your people, when as a matter of fact, a lot of what Sabrina might need to deliver for her constituency or I might need to deliver may not necessarily lie straight in our hands. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I see that, and I know Sabrina, our weekly meetings that we have, it's like night and day. I'm really looking forward to, hopefully the will of the people will be to elect the Caymanian Community Party, and we can not only hit the ground running, but also operate in a fashion that is cohesive and has the Caymanian people at the forefront of their minds. And I see you looking at the clock.
No, that's okay.
But I want to say,
we still have another minute.
I feel this is important.
You can tell she's a veteran of the
right? You're looking at the clock.
I want to say, I think it's important to say this because for some reason, and I think this is a part of old style politics, if you're not getting up on a platform and beating your chest and yelling and sounding aggressive, people feel like, oh, well, they're too soft or they're too nice. But if you really think about getting around the table and having to decide on how to move forward, compromise, if you really look at what teamwork requires, you really can't have everybody that comes in with that type of personality, because what'll happen is you'll have all chiefs and no Indians, and you're not going to get anything done. So that's what makes me excited about working with the Caymanian Community Party.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to go to our headline news at 2:00. When we return, one of our listeners said, can you please ask your guests their positions on each of the 3 referendum questions, as well. And we know that the referendum question, it is an advisory referendum, not binding in any way. And some candidates, some parties have chosen to separate themselves, from that issue and just concentrate on the elections and getting elected as well.
Not a problem.
Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. Big cash boost for policing. During Cabinet's March 20th meeting, Cayman's elected leaders approved several budget items, including supplementary funding to the Office of the Commissioner of Police to the tune of $7.7 million. The increase was spread across the line items Crime Prevention and Protection Services, Crime Investigation and Criminal Justice Services, and Policy Advice, Administrative and Support Services. For the full Cabinet summary, you can visit gov.ky. In regional news, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court of Appeal has rejected an application by Michael Prest for permission to appeal to the Privy Council, affirming previous rulings that upheld the validity of his 2021 arrest for the alleged fraudulent conversion of over US $2.5 million. The St. Kitts and Nevis government has welcomed the decision, highlighting its commitment to upholding the rule of law. And Trinidad authorities have detained 9 individuals, including 5 Venezuelan nationals who entered the country illegally, while also seizing firearms, ammunition, and drugs during targeted raids. In a separate operation, police shot and killed a suspect after he allegedly pointed a firearm at officers during a high-speed chase. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. That is your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me 2 members of the TCCP. Right.
Little tongue twister there.
It certainly is. Yes. Party in the studio with me. We have incumbent member of Parliament seeking to continue to represent the constituency of Prospect, Miss Sabrina Turner, and also incumbent member of Parliament seeking to represent the constituency of West Bay Central in our Parliament, Miss Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes. Ebanks-Wilkes in the studio. We hope to be joined by Mr. Anthony
He's en route.
Ramon
He's
as
en
well.
route. Yes.
So we had a question in relation from one of our listeners wanting to know your positions in relation to the tree referendum questions, as well.
Well, I'll just start with chiming in to say that in relation to the question, many of the listening audience may have heard, particularly us incumbents, debate the referendum bill. And the issue that we had with the referendum bill was that there is not enough information available to the public. Since being on, the campaign trail, I've seen persons on social media asking about information about the national lottery. What is that going to look like? How is it going to be operated? Where the funds going to be held? Equally, the same thing with the decriminalization of marijuana. What is the portion of cannabis? What are the rules? Where can you get it? It just shows that there has not been enough public awareness or a public awareness educational campaign. And OC, you might recall when we had the people-initiated referendum, that was one of the discussion points, was the fact that there was not an overall a general referendum legislation that set out rules on if you're going to have a referendum, what is the time frame that you would roll this referendum out, how much money could be spent on the educational process. So our issue is that we feel that there's not enough information for people to make an educated decision as it relates to the question around the cruise birthing, the cruise birthing infrastructure, right? Again, our concerns is that you're going to have voters going out on election day not knowing enough to feel confident about supporting this referendum question. So the party position is that we will uphold, come on through, that, the referendum will have its process. It's going to be conducted during the election, and we will respect the will of the people.
Correct.
That's the party position.
Okay, Ms. Sabrina.
Yeah, we're speaking as one. We're singing out of the same hymn book, but we don't want to take away from the fact and the importance of engaging the public. The misconception, and you have the fors and the haves and the have-not, those who are for and those who are against, is one of the things that my colleague and I, Miss Kathy, having been cabinet ministers, were some of the things that we spoke about. Why do it now? You understand? There is, because we have to look at all of those persons who make their living, who keep the lights on in their home from that industry. And when you look at the cruise berthing infrastructure and you're hearing all of the noise out there, it's predominantly on one of the three questions. So really, what is the referendum about? Is it about all three questions? Or is it about cruise infrastructure? So you see where we have to make sure that we get it right, where we stand. And it is not an individual, you will never get myself coming on here being a part of the TCCP party, giving my personal opinion, because I have family that work in the industry, that they make their salaries based on the companies that they work for, from Stay Over and Cruise Tourism. I have constituents as well that benefits from it. And we all have to make sure that we are responsible and put the people first. But you cannot be just throwing it out there without any information, because even in discussions, persons who are working in the industry is saying, I have more questions right now than it even makes sense. So we are at that point where I will reiterate what Ms. Katherine has said, and that is the position of the party.
Okay, let's take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Anthony Ramon, who is the candidate seeking to represent Georgetown Central in our parliament. And I think this is my first opportunity to actually interview him and to say, good afternoon, welcome to Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. O.C. and the wider Cayman.
Okay, and introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience in the event there's someone out there who may not have heard of you before.
Well, I am running for the constituency of Georgetown Central. It's my first time around, not an incumbent, but for me it's about giving good and proper representation for the people. And as my colleagues have already alluded to, it's about putting their people first and foremost, empowering them and moving forward together. I mean, there's a lot of, I would say, deficiency and gaps. You know, I mean, some of these issues didn't happen overnight. But again, it's about putting things under the microscope. And we don't have much of a choice, I should say, where we do have to put those issues, whether if it's constituency level or national level, under the microscope and address them 1 or 2 by 3 at once. And again, as listening to some of the discussion, you know, putting things in perspective, being realistic about it. Short term, medium term, long term. And when I say long term, that might be 50 years out.
Yeah.
But again, these are things that we have to look at. So it's a time of being critical. Critical thinking is more necessary at this point in time in the game. So again, it's for me bringing that to the table, looking about how we go about this in the best way and reasonable. I know you guys were touching a bit on the referendum questions.
Yeah. What are some of the concerns that you're hearing as you go out on the campaign trail, having your yard meetings and knocking on doors? Some of the common concerns that you're hearing from the people.
Well, it's been, as my colleagues have explained, and for me here in direct, it's a whole spectrum. You know, you go from the youth, in terms of even childhood, education, right through up to post-education, employment. As you're talking about coming back, being able to be employed. We're talking about being qualified now, being educated. But yes, we can get those opportunities. How and why? And when we have a case where there's X amount of thousand of, I would say, work permits, how do we then address those fit for purpose? Housing infrastructure. I mean, Georgetown Central, as I will always say, is a dynamic. It's a mixture of different types of residential structure, social economics also too. And we look at it, it's a growing township. So neighborhoods are shrinking. But again, how can we address those issues of those families, those structures that will remain there no matter what? And they can't relocate because, as you know, some of the crises are we talking about land availability and affordability. You know, so it's a whole number of things. Healthcare, we have an aging community, so how do we then address those matters? But at the end of the day, it's about finding solutions, practical solutions, immediate solutions for some of these. Not everything is going to happen overnight, but we also have the case that a lot of things are interrelated and can be sensitive. What is the multiplier effect? So again, it comes back to critical thinking.
Okay, Ms. Susan, I'm going to come to you a little bit early so that we can just go right through without any further interruptions rather than speaking for another 2 minutes and then having to go to the commercial break.
Does he sound like someone that would not hit the pavement running?
Well, he certainly can hit the pavement running. We know, and there's so many roles that he could play in government. It's unbelievable.
So you know what to do on April 30th. TCCP all the way.
Folks, please stay tuned. Talk today. We'll be back shortly.
Subway and Oreo has changed the dessert game. Introducing the Oreo footlong cookie, a full 12 inches of chocolatey, creamy goodness. It's big, it's bold, and it's here for a limited time. Perfect for sharing or not. We won't judge. Want it fast? Order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app for quick pickup and earn loyalty points, or get it delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Don't wait. Treat yourself today. The Oreo footlong cookie is calling your name. Subway. Eat fresh. Snack sweet.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Hi, this is Crystal Gomez-Wilson. Join me, your PPM candidate for Prospect, along with Donna Bush for Savannah and Alva Saku for Newlands, this Saturday, April 12th at 7 p.m. opposite the Cecile Crichton Spots Newlands Community Park. Come out and hear the issues that matter to you, the solutions we are ready to deliver. Cayman needs proven, stable leadership, and that's exactly what PPM is about. Let's keep moving forward with the PPM.
Moving forward, we're moving forward.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market. The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're on the last segment of the show this afternoon with members of the Caymanian Community Party, former minister, current member of Parliament, and incumbent member for the constituency of Prospect, Miss Sabrina Turner, former minister, former speaker of our Parliament, current member of Parliament as well, and seeking to retain her seat in the constituency of West Bay Central, Miss Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, and newcomer, Mr. Anthony Ramon. And before we went to the commercial break, Miss Turner remarked about Mr. Ramoon's ability to hit the ground running as well. And I can see him with a background in sports. You know, making major contributions to that area as well. Yesterday, when we had another candidate in the studio, we had a question from one of our listeners about sports, and they wanted to know, where does the responsibility for talent identification and talent development lie as far as government or society in general, where where does that responsibility lie, Mr. Rowan?
Well, I'll take I would say a tackle at it. I would say
midfielder.
It's one of those things. It's very interesting, and it can be dynamic because sometimes a parent can identify a talent or the potential in their child from the get-go, and where they may encourage that talent in terms of putting it into the program. And again, having well-structured programs with, I would say, talented coaches or well-known or educated coaches. When I say educated, in terms of the respective sport that they engage, to recognize those talents. And it's not, and it doesn't necessarily come with about cherry picking the better players or persons in a particular sports. It's about recognizing the potential and how do you harness that from a young age. So within the programs, you can recognize those talents and how you then put those programs in place to propel that talent and give it every opportunity of that child. And I mean, nowadays we talk about raw talent. Say it's natural. Come and kick a ball, could do this without even being coached. Now, how do we harness that? Now we're talking about the psyche of the games or the sport. How do you manage peer pressure, all of those things. So how we push that. So it's, again, programs, having well-structured programs in place where persons or coaches could recognize those things. And then in terms of the government, to come in and support those programs or clubs or whatever it is, and say, whether if it's financially, networking. And right now, we pretty much have an amateur status with every sport there is. So if we want to have a good chance of excelling, we then have to remove that person or child from an early age with, I guess, the support of the parents and put them in a professional environment until we could harness that. So we got to recognize it. We can't wait till someone attain that professional status and then we come with the accolades or the support.
Yeah, we adopt them then, right?
We adopt them then. So we adopt and recognize at an early stage, So that is my
great, excellent. And do you have a view in terms of government funding? Because we know some of the challenges that people have had, in terms of national representation. You have your job, you have a family to support and everything else, and the time that it takes for you to do training and everything else. If you do that, then you end up having to neglect your family. Do you believe that government could spend more on our athletes?
Yes, they can and they should, because it's an investment. It's almost to say, well, a child applying for a scholarship and go and get an education. So whereas we talk about TVEX and all of those things, no different. I mean, myself being a student athlete, I got an academic scholarship directly from the university. It wasn't through the government. Again, about talents in that balance. So whereas now that support system in place, say, well, okay, make you semi-professional. We pay half of your salary or put something on top of that, which will allow you, again, now to be here with your family until you could get to that stage that you could relocate if and where necessary. Because obviously, from my understanding, we are actually spending money on other athletes that is not in Cayman to represent or just showing a representation. So why not redirect those funds into our homegrown athletes?
Okay. Ladies, we're going to throw the mic back over to you. We finished talking sports now.
I think we all need to do a little bit of that. But no, I fully agree with Anthony, and as we were alluded to, that is where the importance of joint government agencies playing a part. You identifying and investing in this talent from an early age, but it also goes to show that it shouldn't just rest on, let's say, youth and sports. Education as well plays a big role. So this is where breaking down and working together, not in silos, to achieve the same outcome. And like what you say, this can go straight on to university, because you go professional. you have to leave Cayman with that proud bearer of the Cayman flag, but you have a family to support. This is where community and building together, ties into even exactly what you're describing for it to be successful.
And I think that just to add on what Sabrina is saying is going back to the whole word of programs. We have a pathway for academic scholarships, and we know you can go through the Ministry of Sports and apply for support through the Ministry of Sports for furthering your education, but having specific programs for maybe particular sports, like a program if you want to pursue a career in football or soccer or and again, then there's sort of like a streamlined process. So a student that might be good in football but might not necessarily be good in their studies may then become more excited and motivated to exceed because they have this talent in a particular sport. So I think that it is going to be important for the next Minister of Education to collaborate with, I think, just about every single ministry, certainly the Ministry of Sports and definitely the minister responsible for labor.
I think it has to be the entire government where we have to look how one touches the other.
That's true.
Because we spend it from the same pocket.
Yes,
that's true.
Regardless of what we may think.
Here comes the economist. That's one thing I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about Anthony appearing to be someone who could hit the ground running. He brings so much to the table when we sit and have discussions. You can hear his background in economics kicking in, right? And
he slows us down sometimes.
Yes,
he comes from a different perspective.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good to have Anthony on the team.
But then it's respected. Again, what we were speaking to before Anttie joined us. At this critical time, we're going to need level heads, and we have to be able to have a discussion and be able to do that in a mature way, valuing everybody's input until we meet common ground. And look at us. Even though you wanted to change from sports, we continued, but we brought our own spin respectfully. So this is a demonstration of cohesiveness, respect, togetherness, and definitely a structure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes.
Now, both of you who were elected before, you were both elected as independents.
Yes,
correct,
sir.
Right? What do you say to the independent candidates, today? Now that you are in a more structured environment, you've had the taste of both.
It's your second time. It was my first. So what do you think?
I just say keep it real.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, my my manifesto that I did, especially the one in 2021, I was very mindful of what I committed that I could do for the people. I looked at it from the position that I was running as an independent. I didn't have any loose alliance with any party. It was really, my motive was to break status quo. So my position in my manifesto was keeping it in terms of what I was going to be able to offer as a representative in terms of doing a district council, which I did, in terms of, having constituency meetings and being accessible. But to commit to taking care of national issues, I'd be very careful with doing that unless you're a candidate running as an independent, but there's some sort of agreement that you have in the background with a particular party. Because there's no way that you can guarantee delivering on national issues without knowing who you're going to end up working with. So that for me, and I mean, even what was good for us as independents, and I think that was where we all got really excited, was that majority of us that ran as independents wanted to break status quo. And we all kind of had similar objectives. So it was, okay, but we all wanted the same thing. So that in one sense, it made it a bit easier to sit and have a conversation. But again, we didn't have a manifesto. We could say, okay, well, in this year, we're going to do this in this part of the country. And we're going to make sure it's balanced and everybody feels where, they are being uplifted. So that, for me, is where I say to my constituents that not everything that glitters is gold. It sounds good. You know, anybody can get up and promise you, you know, that they're going to do a number of things, but the question is, how are you going to get it done?
Which segues right into the no man is an island. And having ran as an independent in 2021, got elected, you realize quite quickly where structure is key. But okay, you formed a government, you've made it into cabinet. What does not, and this is something that I think Kathy can share, what did not switch off, which comes with maturity, is that it almost as though you were constantly campaigning because you still was thinking based on discussions and how things played out. I have to do what I have to do, for example, West Bay Central, or I only think on a national scale for Prospect, when in fact, once you're a cabinet minister, you have to think for the entire country. And this is where Ms. Kathy alluded to, on national issues, no one individual can bring a national issue over the finish line. You need the support of a group. And this is the difference that I see now going in with a party. We know where we stand on topics. We understand that this is, again, I'll keep using this analogy, the marching orders for us, for you, the voting public, to hold us accountable for. Now, anything can happen. Circumstances could change in regards to natural disasters. We're not calling another pandemic. But what I'm saying is, should the TCCP party get reelected, let's say we're calling it into existence, we get elected, you know what to hold us to in regards to our manifesto, which is why it's critical that if you're running as an independent and you know behind the scenes you're aligning with, let's use Guineps as an example, versus soursop. But the national, I can't use colors now because I don't want to get in trouble. Nationally, you're feeling the sense that nobody wants soursop. But in your core, you're really a soursop. But because they really want the Guineps, you're going to say on the surface, I'm a Guinep, but you know in your core, you're a soursop. When you get elected, mind you, you're campaigning as a Guinep. But after you get elected, boom, you become a soursop. You have lied to everyone that you have campaigned to. So
you've been drafted, not grafted.
Exactly. There. So that puts in the agriculture side. But you know, I use that. But I use that analogy. Be honest and truthful to your people when you're canvassing, and especially if you're an independent. If you know that you're a soursop, for God's sake, just tell people who you are. Do not fool the crowd, because that is where the discord, all of the foolishness happens. And this is why we can confidently come here on the show today and say we are together as in a united front. And this means so much. Running as independents before, now being a part of a party, a well-structured party, we are confident. And that's why we can come here so gracefully and engage with you today. Great. And the listening audience.
Great. I want to go around the table and give each of you an opportunity for some closing comments, talk about upcoming events taking place, and contact details if people want to reach you as well. We know, I think, Mr. Anthony, you had a yard meeting last night, you know, as well. I was told, a little bird told me that.
Okay, it's good that the word is out there.
That's right, Antony.
Yeah, it was down in Cranbrook.
That's why you got a team.
Good, yeah.
Yes. So tell us about any upcoming events, as well as giving out your contact details.
Well, basically, I'm trying to get a series of yard meetings and throughout for the next couple of weeks, going up to the grand finale. My grand finale is going to be on the 26th of April, and that's going to be on the, I call it the Tropical Greens. So that's at the junction of Tropical Gardens. But next week, Tuesday, I'm going to have a meeting. The venue haven't been set as to date, but I've been canvassing on every day, all day. I mean, like I said, for me, it's a work around the clock. You know, I lost track of the days or the week, and I only just basically know that it's night and day, you know. But it's about for the people, working for the people, and I'm here to give full representation, not sometimes all the time, and basically to collect and represent everybody, the full spectrum of our people in Georgetown Central and in time to come the entire Cayman Islands.
Okay, Ms. Katherine?
Thank you very much. So for me, I would like to just share with the public that I have a yard meeting at Adonis Drive, 79 Adonis Drive, and that's going to be this Saturday evening from 7 to 9. So that is specifically for the residents in that area. However, if there's anybody else in West Bay Central that would like to come out, maybe they haven't been able to make it to one of the other meetings, they're more than welcome to join. Also, I know...
Is there any landmark that you can give for just those people who don't know Adonis Drive? Anything nearby that they can identify?
Yes.
I'm still trying to find it for the record.
All I can tell... Say again.
The big breadfruit tree.
know, right? But there's no big breadfruit tree down in there either. It's to the end of Glade Drive. Down in near Bonnyville. So most of the people in West Bay will know it's to the back end of the shores. And then... again, I know Sabrina mentioned it earlier, but we have our youth council is having a social tomorrow afternoon, and that is going to be a time where our young people can come and engage with candidates. That is at Morgan's from 4 to 6 p.m. And then I will list I have a final meeting. Trying to get it's just going so fast. So see, I'm happy about that. My final meeting for West Bay is going to be on the 26th, and I will flick those details out later. And then we have a finale meeting on the 29th in West Bay. So finale meaning that
Grand
it is,
finale.
with myself and Andre. So we have, I have mine on the Saturday, and we have one together then the night before the election. So I will make sure that that information gets out to the people of West Bay Central, and in the instance for the finale to West Bay South, their office will get that out. But it's certainly been an honor, OC, to come on your show and talk politics, talk about parliamentary procedure, and, you know, some days just have good old conversations. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks to the people who take the time to tune in and listen. I know especially our, I'm not going to call them senior citizens, our retirees.
Yes.
They really enjoy having this platform, and just want to say good afternoon to all of them who are listening and encourage them to keep following the next few weeks. You know, we only have, 2.5 weeks left before the election, and I know many people are looking forward to just seeing the 30th of April get here. So, but thank you very much again, OC.
Okay, Ms. Sabrina.
Again, I share in the sentiments of my two colleagues, thanking you, Radio Cayman, for this platform and reaching the demographics that's so definitely during any election time, especially in hurricane, you know, number one station, Radio Cayman, they're locked in. But the next event for me would be our Easter Family Fun Day that's taking place this Saturday from 3 until 6 p.m. That's at the Constituency Office, 33 Marina Drive. For information or transportation, you can call 746-931-922-8080. There will also be a joint meeting with myself and Miss Natasha Whitelock, the TCCP candidate for Red Bay. So Red Bay and Prospect, we're having a joint meeting on Wednesday night. That's the 16th from 7 o'clock. Also right there in the Prospect constituency office, because it's central. Really, for election purposes, my Prospect constituency office is in Red Bay. So I guess Natasha has the upper hand on me here. But yes, so that's why there was a...
Or she can seize it by using eminent domain, right?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But again, it just shows the collaboration and the close working relationship that we will have, hence the importance of having a joint meeting there at that location. As the party continues on the final home stretch, that long stretch of a 100-meter dash. The 28th will be our meeting. More information from the party overall will be on that. And then the grand finale for Prospect will definitely be the 29th for myself. Again, right at home base, Prospect Constituency Office, 33 Marina Drive. Keep... following me on our social media channels, TCCP, my political Facebook, Instagram pages, and definitely I'm sharing all of our events and happenings there on the many WhatsApp group chats within the Prospect and Red Bay constituency. I too want to thank from the bottom of my heart my constituency office assistants, my volunteers, my immediate family, friends. I call them my shadow warriors, those who don't want to be named, but they have always been there for me. Along this journey, I have been blessed to meet some very genuine people, a lot of persons who care and appreciate and respect the work that I've done coming in as a newbie like yourself, Anttie, but never lost touch with on the ground. And doing, as you alluded to in your past, always being involved in Georgetown. I was always involved in Red Bay and Prospect 10 years before even getting politically appointed to this noble role. But for those registered voters, those 1,414 registered voters and all the residents who will be able to vote come 2029, I thank you for your support. I'm encouraging you all to judge me on my works that I have done for the past 4 years and look at what we have been able to accomplish in such a short time, that being a year and a half, in real time, to be honest. And I look forward for their blessing and their support by a vote on April 30th. And for those who are voting early on the 22nd for Prospect, I hope for their blessing. And for all of those postal ballots that have been received, I thank you for your vote.
Yes. I want to wish all of you all the best on the campaign trail as well. I want to thank all of our listeners. It's been a busy but exciting week as well. All of you out there, please stay safe during the weekend. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to continue to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
The preceding was a paid political broadcast.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Talk Today is also brought to you by Mike's Builders. Call 923-0706. Mike Builders. They make it happen.